willing to go where the truth takes him. Here's Robert.
The Healing Revolution continues here on the Robert Scott Bell Show, and we are got a returning guest here as we've been talking about the AutismOne conference coming up May 23rd through 27th. One of the guys that will be featured there, and he's done a lot of great work because, of course, he is the father of a daughter diagnosed within the autism spectrum, like so many parents that are motivated to reach out to help others, not only help their own children. He's chairman and co-founder of the Canary Party, editor-at-large for Age of Autism, and director of SafeMinds, and he is going to be rocking the Autism Conference. We are looking forward to see you there. Mark Blaxill, welcome back to the Robert Scott Bell Show.
Thanks, Robert. I'm happy to be here.
Well, Mark, this is the word's getting out. It's growing, and the movement is growing. More awareness, of course, means less children in the future damaged, but the stats are sickening, honestly. Now, what they say, 1 in 88 children now have autism? That's right, and the stats are sickening at that simple a level, but actually digging into the stats a bit is even more revealing, Robert. I mean, one of the things that it's important to know about this number that's gone around, 1 in 88, is that it's not a recent number. It's the number in the CDC analysis of autism, or their surveillance of autism, and it only covers children born in the year 2000. So it's basically 12-year-old information, or nearabouts, and it's a rate that it's 1 in 88 on average across all the sites. In some of the states that the CDC is covering, the rates are higher than that, much higher than that. 1 in 47 in Utah, 1 in 49 in New Jersey. And that's for both boys and girls. The rate of autism is, about 80% of autism is in boys. Yes. And in New Jersey, 1 in 29 boys born in 2000. Isn't that one of the most highly vaccinated populations in America, the home of Merck and a lot of the big pharmaceutical companies? It's certainly heavily vaccinated. It's certainly polluted in some respects. I grew up in New Jersey. New Jersey has a number of risk factors, but it is the home. It is the home of pharma, the American home of pharma, and that certainly creates some pressure, in the school system and elsewhere, to use the industry's products. Right, and rather than leading the way, the Department of Health and Human Services has often run cover for the pharmaceutical industrial complex. I mean, the response to this has been even less than anemic, if I can say that. Well, I agree with that completely. It's been negligence bordering on criminal, I would say, at this point. And a lot of us who have been active in the movement for a long time, we spent a lot of time being polite and civil and trying to do the right thing and going through the normal channels and asking responsible officials to be responsible. And after 10, 15 years of trying that, a lot of us are fed up, and we're asking for these folks to be held accountable, and particularly the people that are leading autism research at NIH, autism surveillance at CDC. It's time that we act. We start firing some people because they're obviously not doing the job, and we need some people in there who will get after it in the right way. Well, unfortunately, Big Pharma is perfectly happy with the people in place right now because of the exact failure that we would describe as failure. They would describe as success. You're buffering us, you're keeping them off of us, and you're still in that state of denial for us that there's anything to do with this. And so if we look at that and we say, gosh, how can we realistically expect government to reform itself, or that we could even reform government without the power of the purse that Big Pharma has? Do we have any evidence of success, or even a little one that we can hang our hat on to say, okay, it might be possible for the same organizations that facilitated and enabled this disaster to occur to help us out of it? I'm asking sincerely. It's a fair question. I do think there are examples of success. I know at the state level, there have been attempts to beat back vaccine exemption rights and health choice and health freedom privileges or rights of citizens, and some of those have been beaten back. We had Rick Perry mandating Gardasil. The Texas legislator overturned that mandate. Right. We've also had some setbacks where we've had some states where exemptions have been limited. So it's an ongoing struggle. I think the challenge we have as a community of concerned citizens, both in the autism community and more broadly, is to recognize that this is political and to take political action, and to, instead of begging the federal bureaucracy, we need to demand change from our elected representatives. And that's hard work. It's going to take some time. It's interesting to observe the Ron Paul candidacy. That's a pretty motivated and powerful group of people, also dedicated to health freedom.
Yes.
I think those of us in the movement to address the autism epidemic and the related childhood epidemics, that's kind of the model we need to follow, recognizing that we need to mobilize. We don't have more money than pharma, but we have more. We have a lot of injured people, and mobilizing those people, their families, their parents, to stand up for their rights is what we need to do.
Yep, we're talking with Mark Blaxill. He's joining us now from the Canary Party, Age of Autism, and more, and he'll be with us at the conference, the AutismOne conference in Chicago, May 23rd through 27th, that is. And I'm looking forward to it. You're going to tell us a little bit more about the conference, because it's the first time I'm attending. I'll be speaking Friday morning, as well as broadcasting and interviewing lots of exciting experts, guests in the field, and maybe some more parents that have been affected in this way and how they've helped their children. These are the stories that are inspiring to all of us here, and we'd like to hear more. Now, your daughter also was impacted in this way. Can you get us up to speed on what happened again, remind a little bit, and then where things are? What kind of progress has been made in her recovery?
Michaela, she's 16 now. She was born in 1995, fully vaccinated, was developing normally, and then somewhere between her first and second birthday, she regressed. We got on it relatively quickly, got her a diagnosis when she was 2.5, and began implementing a lot of the therapeutic approaches, the biomedical approaches that autism parents have shared among themselves. She was diagnosed with full syndrome autistic disorder. She was not Asperger's. She was not PDD, not otherwise specified. She was a full, severely affected little baby, little toddler. And with all of the the therapies that we've pursued, she's come a long way in her recovery. I wouldn't say that she's completely recovered, but she's very social. She's verbal. She communicates wonderfully. She's a lovely young woman. She's going to be disabled and dependent on us probably, for the rest of her life. But she's cheerful, happy, healthy, and that's something that we're grateful for.
Well, I'm grateful that there's some semblance of recovery we'd like to see complete in all of these kids. And, of course, we want to see that no other kid is harmed in the way that they've been harmed by these vaccines. And, of course, the arrogance and ignorance both coming from government officials and so-called scientists, we'd call them pseudoscientists or dangerous mad scientists, who would claim that injecting these toxic poisons, including mercury, even in the mercury-free vaccines, could in any way be helpful to the immune system. And only, unfortunately, what it is really doing is driving these things deeper into chronicity and sometimes devastating neurological, gastrointestinal, and more impacts here. So that's why we're talking with Mark Blaxill about this. Now, if we look more into, some of the positive things that are happening, like this conference, AutismOne, what you've written about with Age of Autism as such, we are seeing an awareness surge that has never before been in place. And I feel that those that were the great defenders of vaccinology in Big Pharma and even the government minions that back them up, I think they're having a much more difficult time defending what they used to find easy to defend by simply marginalizing people who question the paradigm.
That's right, Robert. And I think one of the great, opportunities we have is the alternative media, like you, are helping get the message out to people who are suspicious of what they hear in the mainstream media, the television networks, the regular TV news shows, the New York Times, all of the sort of standard old sources of information are kind of toe the party line that the CDC and the public health authorities ask them to toe. But increasingly, that media is dying. I was actually looking at the earnings of the New York Times yesterday, and the New York Times, the revenue is declining. Their their earnings are declining.
Yeah.
People are getting their information on their own, and they're trusting. They're going to trusted sources, and increasingly, we're making an impact. And
the old media.
I think that's one of the reasons you get such stridency from some of the industry spokespeople like Paul Offit and others who try to yell and scream at us and call us names and call us unscientific. We're actually the people defending the proper science and the quality science. We're making an impact. The highest rate of vaccine refusal is in the most educated and most affluent parents. There's a reason for that, because that's the group that is the most informed consumer base, and they look at these products, they look at these procedures that are being mandated for their kids, and they're saying, I'm not sure I need all that. I knew I didn't get all those procedures when I was a child, and some people say I have the healthiest immune system they know.
Right.
I think the word is getting out, and thanks to folks like you and colleagues in the alternative media, we're making an impact.
Yep, the new media is definitely having an impact. I appreciate you recognizing that as well. And the old media is dying. It is dying, and we can see it economically. That's where the evidence is. But even in so-called ratings, as more people tune them out and tune into these sources that they're hungry for, because they recognize the pharmaceutical conflicts of interest are not here. And it's even true, like the Association for American Physicians and Surgeons, AAPS. Years ago, when I was reading their newsletter, I was shocked by their blatant disregard for the pharmaceutical party line. They'd often speak out against vaccines. And I asked, I believe, Dr. Huntoon, the editor there, I said, how is it possible that you are actually talking about these things and actually questioning them like real scientists? He says, simple. We don't take any money from Big Pharma. None. Zero. No advertising from Big Pharma. Therefore, we can speak what we know to be factual and true. And that is a very important point here to bring up again about why the old media, whenever they attack Andrew Wakefield or anybody else or support people like Offit, they have a vested economic interest in keeping the information suppressed, but the parents are no longer putting up with it, and that's why AutismOne is going to be such a sensational event this year among many years that it's been going on. Mark, what is it, can you tell me briefly, that you're going to be doing and presenting, and what can parents and others learn once they come to this event?
Well, first of all, I would say, Robert, it'll be great to see you there. It's the most important autism conference of the year, I think, and it's a really terrific gathering of community, a wide range of speakers on science, on therapy, on treatment, on legal issues, on support issues, on political issues, and so it's just a wonderful occasion to come together. I'm working on a number of talks. We have at the Age of Autism.com, our blog, we have our breakout session, and we always welcome our readership to join us for a discussion. We're going to discuss the Andy Wakefield situation and the issues of scientific integrity with a whistleblower named David Lewis, who's going to join us there. I'm also giving a talk on the crisis in childhood health in America for the Canary Party, and we're going to talk about the autism trends and the autism epidemic, but also the notion that half of American children have a chronic health condition, and that isn't something that has to be, should be, or has always been.
Yes.
There are other related conditions, asthma, peanut allergy, a whole host of chronic conditions that are plaguing our children.
Very cool.
And we've got to start getting to the root causes of those and removing them. So I'm going to talk a bit about the crisis in childhood health, and that's both of those presentations are on Friday afternoon.
Beautiful. Well,
so
I'll be launching.
We're also giving organizing a press conference at 11:45 on Friday about these 1 in 88 numbers, the CDC, the latest CDC statistics, and the call for action that we're issuing in terms of holding the CDC accountable, holding HHS accountable, and declaring autism a national emergency.
Beautiful. Well, I'll be there witnessing it, recording it, whatever we got to do to get it out to the rest of the world. Mark, I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate them inviting me up to do that. I'll be speaking on many of the things that are suppressed in terms of not only cause of these autistic kind of related diseases and other chronic diseases, but the hidden cures that I know as a homeopath and other things that I've covered over the many years. So, Mark Blaxill, we got you ageofautism.com linked up, Canary Party linked up as well in the blog notes today at robertscottbell.com, as well as AutismOne. The conference I hope to see you all at May 23rd through 27th. Thanks again, Mark.
Thank you, Robert. Look forward to seeing you live in Chicago.
Awesome. Coming up next, more of the healing revolution with guess who? Yes, Dr. Frank King returns.
The Robert Scott Bell Show.